It looks like I finally had time to visit the only classic car museum in the whole of Guangdong province. This museum is located about 3 hours away from Huizhou, where we live, in Zhongshan, China, or previously known as Xiangshan, China. As you'll soon see, the museum was well worth the trip, so if you're interested in visiting, I'll provide some more details later in the video. A bit of construction was going on outside, but here's outside the museum entrance. As soon as I walked through the front doors, I saw this Xinfu 250 motorcycle, and yes, it is a clone of the Jawa CZ bikes, like this one I saw back in New Zealand. After purchasing tickets, I saw these two classic Hongqi automobiles, and supposedly one of them has been used to chauffeur Chairman Mao around back in the day. Classic cars like these are fascinating to me, like the Shanghai branded car. I didn't even know China even made cars back in the day. I know at least it wasn't made for the masses, that's for sure. But yeah, no, have a read about it here, and I stand true because it wasn't made for the masses, it was made for government. Surprisingly, it was made up until the 90s. Here's a Jialing motorcycle and a couple of imported American cars from what looks like about the 60s. And the military area over here. Just briefly, I forgot to mention, some cars weren't on display, and we saw quite a few parked up in the underground garage where we parked our car too. Here's a collection of old Chinese license plates and a lot of memorabilia. There was this massive Lincoln limo on display, and since I've never been in a limo before, I decided to hop in, and I can confirm it is huge. Oh my goodness, it's huge. Here's a regular Jeep that you may be accustomed to. And here is a Chinese-made Beijing branded Jeep. And just around the corner there was this unknown classic motorbike with no tag, and a couple of mopeds there as well. But this one in particular stood out to me. If you look at the engine and just the bike in general, you can see it looks a lot like a motorized bicycle. Presumably, the motorized bike engines that you can buy online nowadays are a direct copy of these bike engines from this era. Of course, this bike in particular just looks a lot more high quality than the ones I have back in New Zealand. Anyway, with that tangent out of the way, I moved on to the next room, and there I saw a couple of Beetles and a Rover Mini. Unfortunately, no Morris Minor though, but I guess this is close enough. I must say this is a very nice collection indeed, and I'm very surprised that any of these cars were able to come into private possession in China, let alone be imported. A fine collection of pre-war American automobiles as well. Again, very surprised they ever made it here. Or rather, could be imported here, I should say. I don't know very much about these vehicles or have really anything to say, so I guess I'll shut up and just let you see the video.
뭐냐면
And that's about the end of the museum. And to conclude, there was a driving simulator inside a car that had been gutted out. So we decided to give it a go, and I was pretty bad at it. My auntie wasn't any better because she's never actually driven a car before. So it was quite entertaining to watch that. Down the road was the local Zhongshan museum. A lot of Sun Yat-sen relics in there. After all, the whole city is named after him. And a classic and vintage radio museum, which I found very fascinating. I would strongly recommend coming to this museum if you're in the area, especially because it's free. A lot of local and foreign culture is on display here. So I said I'll talk about the museum, so obviously it's in China, in Zhongshan City. Refer to this map that I've marked up. In this part of the city, where the red circle is, and you can see the museum is just down the road, the Zhongshan Museum. There is plenty of parking in an underground garage about 50 meters away from the Classic Car Museum, so you might as well park there and just walk the rest of the way, otherwise use public transport. Otherwise, here's some information on how much we paid for the tickets, and that's the end of the video. Thank you for watching.